You're listening to the Comic Crusaders Podcast. I am your host, Al Mega, CEO of Comic Crusaders and Undercover Capes. In this show, I'm sitting down with creators from all walks of life to talk about inspiration, process, the lessons they've learned, and a whole lot more. Wepa, what up, mi gente? This is your boy Al Mega. Welcome to a brand new Comic Crusaders podcast. And today we got an amazing independent creator. My man got a dope project out right now. I mean, it's right up my alley because you know how I love horror, right? And homie's bringing some traditional Latino folklore to the front and about to scare the crap out of us. He is a screenwriter. He's a producer. He's a director. Let me introduce the one, the only, the very talented Mickey Martinez. Wepa, kiddo, how you doing?
Hi, I'm doing really good.
It's nice
to be on the show.
But thank you for coming on. Talk about your dope Kickstarter that is live right now. I mean, right now, folks. Very simple. You know, I'm gonna show you the link in a minute. So talk a bit about yourself, Mickey. You know, this is all about origin stories. You know, first and foremost, tell me a bit about yourself. Where you from originally, and what was your first love in fandom?
Sure. So I grew up in New York until I was 12, and I moved to Texas.
Where in New York?
And then Manhattan.
Okay, you're a Manhattan boy. All right,
yeah.
Here you go.
So I lived in Manhattan, and then I when I was 12, we moved to South Texas. So that's really fun. But I was always consistently going back and forth from the U.S. to Mexico.
Okay.
So my first love, I guess, like my first fandom love, I remember I had a bunch of pirated Spanish X-Men animated series.
Love it. That's the way we used to get it back in the day. I get it. All right.
So I used to have those, and I would watch it like on Fox and love it, but you'd watch them out of order, and you didn't really know what was happening. But I had the actual it all fit on 2 DVDs or something, and it was the coolest thing ever. And I think that was the first time that I was like, oh, this is great. I didn't even know there were comics. I found out there were comics after.
I love it. So you're a 90s kid then, right?
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah. That's so funny. 80s kids, 70s kids, you know, and before, of course, all about finding this stuff on print. But then when you go 90s forward, it's really, I think, like a 50-50. You know, I found comics or I found it through animation first. Interesting.
Yeah.
Shout out to Hades right here. What's popping? And yo, that's right. X-Men cartoon was amazing. The best, I don't know, man. We had good things going on. Spider-Man 2, you know, we had some gargoyles. Spawn on HBO. Come on now. All right, so that's your first love, X-Men. So how did you discover when you discovered the comics that it was a comic? Did you have by chance a shop? Did you start buying?
Yeah, I started buying stuff, and comics in the 90s were really weird. But yeah, I bought older stuff, and then when I started getting older, I started reading Hickman stuff, and then I went back and read Claremont stuff, and so I've always I really like X-Men Evolution. I think that is severely underrated. I think it's really fun.
It is. I mean, when people tell me what's your favorite Batman cartoon, and I always say, you know, again, I love Batman animated series, but Batman Brave and the Bold, that was fire.
Brave and the Bold's great.
I love that. That's my favorite, hands down, of all the Batman series. It introduced so many characters in DCU, and then the underlying story. I mean, come on, man, Buona Beast. How the hell can a cartoon make you care about Buona Beast? Love it.
I think based on what I've watched the most off of Batman, I've seen Batman Beyond the most. I think. Okay. I think I've seen Batman Beyond more than the animated series.
So Would you be excited for a live action version of Batman Beyond? Chance came?
Yes, because I feel like Batman Beyond can get like weird in ways that I feel like they wouldn't let a Batman movie get, like a straightforward Bruce Wayne movie. I feel like that can get as weird as like a Beyond movie. I like my Batman weird. Like I like Bane on those like steroids. I like Man Bat. Man Bat's my favorite.
Yeah, bro. Right? I mean, wasn't it that you? Well, I mean, I spoiled it. I'll leave it alone. I'm not gonna spoil it because it's coming out, so I'm gonna leave it alone. Some cool stuff going on with a Man Bat type of stuff. All right. So were you alone in your fandom and your geekdom while you were growing up?
Oh, what was I alone before? Or am I alone now?
No. In regards to growing up with your fandom, were you alone, or did you have like a tribe of people that you hung out with?
Yeah, I mean, I think the horror community and the X-Men lover community are much closer than people realize, because the X-Men stories also are so grounded in like horror and like aspects of horror, and but so like
things with powers and demons and creatures. Oh no, hell yeah, it's horror.
Yeah, and so I grew up mostly in like the horror community. And those people love X-Men, so I feel like I've always been in that fandom.
All right, so you say you grew up in the horror community, and I must ask. I'll tell you mine first. My very first horror movie was Hell Night with Linda Blair. I saw that as a little kid in the movie theater. My parents just took me to see this thing. You know, instead of terrorizing me, I fell in love with this whole idea. Like, holy shit, this is crazy. Killers killing teenagers, you know? What cool stuff. And then I fell in love. What was your first?
I think the first horror movie that I saw, I don't know if this counts because it's a miniseries, but the It miniseries, I saw it as a movie. I saw it as 2 VHS tapes. But I remember I watched it at my neighbor's house because like it was like a sleepover and they put it on, and I remember like all of us hiding behind the couch. It was like the scariest thing I'd ever seen at that point. But I didn't love it. I didn't like the feeling of being scared. So I was like, okay, I'm not into this. But I remember the first time I was scared and I was into it was when I was watching Signs with my cousins, and like the movies, like the M. Night Shyamalan Signs. I remember watching Signs for the first time and being like, oh, I'm really into this. How this makes me feel, and like sort of like. You're into horror movies more than you'd be like engaged in other movies, and so I like searched, and so I've been like devouring horror movies ever since.
Excellent. So talk about then you starting to get creative. When did that journey begin? When did the spark of creativity come in your life?
Well, I've always been like sort of a creative person. I first wanted to like do books when I was a little kid. There was like a young authors conference, and then we like write books and stuff. So I would do that. But when it started getting horror, was I think sometime like really early high school when I started doing like short films. I would try to do comedies and I would try to do different things, but I realized that like, that I wasn't as engaged in those things. And I wasn't like, people weren't as engaged in them because like because when you're younger, most of your movies are really bad. But I realized that if I tried to do a horror movie, people would still find it engaging, even if it wasn't that great. People would like it more, and they could tell me they liked it more, and they would like be really into it. And sometimes you would scare them in like an interesting way that you weren't expecting. And so I think I just found that came easier to me, and I was more interested in those things, like that kind of stuff.
All right, man. So what steps did you take to start really getting engaged in it, getting professional? Or were you self-taught?
Well, like most of it was self-taught. I mean, I went to like a magnet school, so a lot of like outside of like the film schools and outside of all that, a lot of like schooling in like media, it's sort of pushing you into broadcast, because that's where the the career path is, So like a lot of like my high school stuff, it was like editing and everything, but it was mostly to prepare you if you wanted to go work at like the local news station, which I did. I interned at the local news station. But I think where I really started to lean into the creative part is there was this after school program for like for urban youth, I guess, and it was really about sort of like getting these kids tools that they need and just letting them do crazy things. And I'm lucky that they kind of just let me do horror movies. They kind of just let me do scary things and fun things. So, and like experimental things. I was just experimenting on what I can do with cameras and stuff. And I thought that was like the one time the one in the beginning where I really felt like I could do this professionally, sort of. Yeah, I can't hear you. I think you're talking.
What type of equipment did you start learning on?
Oh Jesus! This was before the revolution of like. This is right at the tip of making all of the digital revolution happen. So it was essentially, this is still digital, but it was on DV tapes. It wasn't on SD cards, and so I don't know if we were just really poor at the time, but all I would do was put DV tapes and then import, and so I know how to work DV tapes, which served me like later in life, but. Like now when I look back and if I go in and look at like what the kids at that same it's called SACY, so at that same after school program are doing, they're like handling like black magic cinema cameras. That's insane.
Crazy stuff. I hear you on some crazy equipment in their hands. My daughter went to Full Sail University, and these kids had some crazy stuff on their hands. I mean, come on now, they film NXT shows.
Yeah.
As practice. Live shows, that broadcast. That's insane. I love it though. Thank you for supporting the creative community. I mean, so talk about now, stepping into making an official project and building a team. I mean, what was that learning curve like for you?
Sure. I mean, like
community.
Yeah, I mean, like most of I worked in my wife and I got married in 2015, and we moved from a honeymoon. We drove to LA. We made the drive from Texas to LA.
Everybody goes to LA. So let me ask: did you know anyone in LA when you made that?
Okay, yeah, but well, we did not. But don't do that. That's not a good thing to do.
That's what I'm at. Okay.
So we didn't know. Like we had a friend that lived in California that lived in Riverside. And so we went to stay with her for to land here when we drove here, and then we got to look at houses. We hadn't even been here. We were children. It was terrible. It was a really bad decision to make, but it was a good decision. It worked out for us because it's a combination of being really lucky and being persistent, I guess. But but don't do that. Do your research before you move. Know people, have connections. Don't do it.
I go blindly.
Don't go blindly. That's not good. That's not smart.
Amazing.
But we moved over here, and then the first thing I did was I emailed production and distribution studios, essentially because I had an editing gig already on the side, sort of. It was a remote editing gig, and so I could afford to email studios and be like, "Hey, I can work for free." And obviously no one emailed me back for 3 weeks. And then this distribution studio emailed me back saying, "Hey, are you still available?" And I said, "Yeah." I hopped in there for a month, just almost full time, just working. And then their operations manager quit because she got a job at Hulu. And then she was like, "Hey, Mickey can do my job." She's like, "He can do it." And then they were like, "Really?" And they're like, "Yeah, he can do it." And then so she vouched for me, and so I got the job.
Just threw you into the fire by a voucher, and you're in there. Whereby, love it.
Yeah, it was crazy, which was good. It came just in time. I worked in distribution for 6 years, and then the pandemic hit, and I had to leave the gig. But while I was there, I learned a lot about distribution, and I learned what I would do differently. So I while I was there, I started my own distribution company, and I started like helping filmmakers that had like a close film or wanted to start a film, and so I produced 5 feature films in that time.
Nice.
Yeah, I produced like 5 feature films in that time, and I say produced, like some of them I started, and some of them I helped like in the middle, and some of them I produced the whole of like post production.
Okay.
And so like I did that. So I was used to distribution. I was used to being a producer, but what I really wanted to do was screenwrite. So I have a lot of scripts, and I've been screenwriting since like college, and I've had like general meetings, I've had pitch meetings. Nothing's really gone through yet, and so when I wrote this script for Lechuza, the idea was, okay, I want to make it. I want to make this movie instead of trying to sell it. I have movies that I can sell that I can't make. I have movies that I love, but I would never be able to make because I don't have that talent. But I can make this movie because it's small and it's a family and it's horror, and I can do this. Then when I started getting producers coming, like I started getting 2 producers, the idea turned into, hey, let's make a short film and then try to raise money off of the short film, because we already have our actors, and like it all started coming together through that. So like getting talent, it wasn't that difficult because we already knew people, or we knew what we wanted very specifically. Like we knew that we wanted a makeup artist who could do like natural looks, and then has her own style of like crazy or like horror, or like we knew the personality we wanted, and so it was really easy to find that, and then talk to them, and then realize right off the bat if we were going to be compatible or not, and that worked pretty well.
All right, so you already mentioned the name Lechuza is a live Kickstarter right now. So let's show people, that video you got up on that Kickstarter, and then we're gonna peruse the Kickstarter and meet the cast and the whole crew. Wepa, folks, check it out. There's Mickey's baby right here, Lechuza.
I don't have much time. I know I dragged you all over here, and after Mom died, I missed you. All of you. And I want to say I'm sorry for everything I've done. I thought I could get her back. I thought if I wanted it bad enough, I could fix this. I failed. And something is here to punish me. Please help.
I ain't going camping. I am not going camping over there by any means. Diablo, that lady looks scary. So check it out, folks. Check it out before we get into this baby. He is seeking $10,000 for the project. My homie is at $9,420 with 9 days to go, folks. 9 days to go. As you already saw, you want the life, especially if you're a horror fan. You saw that. I mean, just you set such an atmosphere just with the sound. I'm like, yo, the sound itself was just creepy through the whole trailer. So kudos on you. So talk about it, man. Talk to me. What is Lechuza?
Sure. So Lechuza is a Latin-American folk tale, and unlike La Llorona and Chupacabra, I guess there's not really much visually in like American media about this. And I grew up with this story. My dad grew up on a ranch in Mexico, so it was fed to me from a very, very young age, and I had this image in my mind from a very, very young age. And one day I realized there is no image of this online. Like if you type in Lechuza, it's very much pictures of owls, and there's like some drawings, but there's no movies about this. That's not where this started though. So the film started because I wanted to make a film dealing with sort of this loss of a matriarch in the Mexican family and how that affects things, and how I've always heard from like white television how the funerals bring people together, but from my experience it's the opposite. Like that doesn't happen. Like when somebody important dies, it tears people apart. It tears the whole family apart.
In Latino, definitely it does cause more issues than anything. You hope that it brings the closeness like those sitcoms show us, but sadly at times it tears apart more than it brings together.
Yeah, and I wanted to talk about the like that. I wanted to talk about like how there's a right way to deal with something and there's a wrong way to deal with something. And when you deal with it wrong, you end up hurting the people around you. And I wanted to turn that into a metaphor. And I had that. I wanted to make that. I turned it into like, it used to be a movie that was sort of closer to The Craft, and then I turned it into Brujeria, which is a really, really great like the choice for in that, because I think there's a lot more there, and there's a lot more there that's never been represented in media like that.
Absolutely right. Absolutely right. Bring it on, kiddo. Preach. There's so much stuff in that Latino culture. You want to get creeped out? Shit. These motherfuckers don't know nothing.
And like, there's so much that I already sort of know, but I bought a bunch of books about it, and I really researched about Brujeria and how the only reason we still have it is because it's sort of indigenous practices that latched onto Catholicism and managed to survive.
Yeah.
And so like that, I really wanted to bring that out into it. And then we needed an antagonist, and I kept thinking of Lechuza. And so I did a lot more research, and I found a version of the folktale that I really liked. And so we stuck it in, and we sort of like had the story grow from there. And so it's stars 4 actresses, and they all play sisters. One of them is a stepsister, but they all play sisters. And that's the Mask of the Lechuza.
Yeah, right there. Yeah, we'll get through that, but let's talk about the cast, right? These 4 ladies, right?
Yes. So it's Amy Cassandra Martinez, Jude Salazar, Leslie Augustine, and Miriam Blanco. And they play 4 sisters who lose their matriarch. And it's like what happens to their interworkings of the relationship because of that, and how does it bring out like their worst insecurities and stuff. And so we use Lechuza as like a metaphor for that. And but at the same time, it's really scary and really fun. I always refer to it as Hereditary meets The Evil Dead, which is like 2 things that I'm really interested in.
So funny. I was driving in a vehicle over the course of the weekend. Somebody was talking about Hereditary and how much they love that film. It was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And I love Dead for sure.
Yeah.
Where did you get the cast from?
I tell people, what's up?
Where did you get the cast from? Because this Andy Miriam Blanco, she kind of reminds me of Linda Blair. You know, talking about Hell Night.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I never thought of that. So Amy Cassandra Martinez, that's my wife. Jude Salazar, we've known each other for a while. I think we met through Amy. She's an actress, and actually her commercial for Panda Express aired during the Oscars last night. That was really cool.
Oh wow! Okay,
that was fun. Leslie Augustine's also an actress. She's a dancer.
Right now.
What?
So you just made me hungry. Panda Express sounds good right about now.
Leslie Augustine's an actress too. She's a dancer. And Miriam Blanco is also an actress. Miriam Blanco was the last actress cast because we were looking for a disabled actress, Latina actress, who could pull off the role. And it was tough because it was difficult to find people and that lived in LA at this time and had that time free and everything like that. And Valerie Frederick, who was a producer, found her, and she's also disabled. She's a wheelchair user, and she helped us sort of maintain this sort of this authenticity to everything there, and she calls us out on all of our bullshit, which is fun.
As you should. Hey, man, doing a proper rep sometimes is important. So I dig that, and I dig that you have a diverse team. Like, that's amazing. But yo, for real, she dead ass look like Linda Blair. I can't get over that. Yeah, right. I mean, say, look.
Yeah.
Yeah, you need to make some. Oh, you actually
side by side pictures, and I'm gonna send it to them.
You know what I'm saying? So all right. So you told us about Valerie. Who's Sam?
Sam is my best friend from Texas, and so we work on some stuff together. We published a comic together. And so
get out of here.
Yeah, we published it's a comic called Quetzalcoatl.
Okay.
And it's about the god Quetzalcoatl from Mayan and Aztec mythology, and it's sort of this updated version of that. We use kind of tenets of like superhero mythology, but it's not really a superhero story. It's more of just a coming of age story with all of these interesting stories from Aztec and Mayan mythology, and we sort of reboot them for like a modern context to like teach people about them, and it's really fun. But that's really cool.
About making comics.
Yeah, we have the first issue out already, and the volume is hopefully going to come out later this year, early next year. Hopefully it'll be earlier, but we'll see.
But I mean, and look at the rest of the team: Camille, Carlos, Gracie. I mean, the creature design. We're gonna get into that mask. That shit looks sick. Diana. I mean, how did you build this team up, boy? I mean, are these all personal friends like this that you know?
Some of their personal friends, like Roy Kirk. I worked with him in distribution. Carlos Garcia is my cousin. Gracie Vargas is a close friend who reads most of my screenplays and gives me feedback on that. But like Camille was found by our producer Valerie. I found Tatiana on Instagram because I was talking to a lot of different makeup artists, and a lot of them either they didn't have the exact skills we needed, or they had the skills we needed and didn't seem like they would be good to work with. But she has all the skills we needed and more, and she seemed really, really easy to work with and really, really cool. So that was nice. The creature design, I have a whole story behind this.
Yeah, talk about this. I mean, geez, Creep E, my God. Talk about bird.
Okay, so like I said, before I said if you go to Google, you don't find any images. That's not necessarily true. You find one image, and the image that you find is like a thumbnail of a picture of this of a Lechuza mask thing. But if you follow that, if you pull on that string, you find a bunch of like YouTube thumbnails that all use the same image that they just stole and like put like a filter on or something. So what I was thinking was okay, whose image is this? Whose image is everyone just stealing? What is happening? So I went down this rabbit hole one day for like 10 hours, and I found the person. I found a DeviantArt account that was like inactive from like 10 years ago, and it was this person saying, "Hey, I made this for my college final," and it was the mask, and I was like, "Oh, what is this?" So I tracked that down again for another like 2 hours, and I found like a Twitter account that was unused, but it had the picture of the mask, and it had like a name. And so I tracked down the name, and I tracked down what was happening, and I finally found the guy. I found his IMDb page, and he is a makeup artist on Fear the Walking Dead.
Damn, okay.
And then I was like, oh shit. And so I found him, and I found like a way to contact him, and I contacted him, and I was like, hey, I hope this isn't too weird, but I found this image of you from like 10 years ago in college. uh, here's like my script. Here's like a preview of my Kickstarter. Here's what we want to do. Uh, do you still make this? And can you make this for us? And he was like, how the fuck did you find me?
God damn detective Miguel
he
Batman
was
Martinez.
he was really excited because he's like, this is great. Like I made this and nobody was interested. But like this is like, he's like, I love Lechuza. It's so scary to me. And so he basically was like, I don't really make this anymore, but I can make it for you. So he charged me essentially what I feel is like just the materials, essentially, because it was kind of nothing. So he charged me kind of for the materials, and he's like, you're gonna have to wait until I'm done with Fear the Walking Dead, like in April, which is basically like late April's when we're gonna shoot. So I was like, okay, great. So I paid him with my own money before the Kickstarter even like took off. I paid him because I really wanted the mask, and so these are his other previous images of it, of the kind of mask, and yeah, like it's more than I could have ever imagined because it feels like something new, and it feels like I like the beak coming out. Like it's exactly what I wanted and better.
Okay,
It's crazy, and I love it.
some wild looking grill for real. Jeez, and I love how the beak is like breaking out. Like you see, like the beak broke out of the skin.
Yeah,
Like some type of mutation. The effect looks so well done. Again, I'm a fan of this stuff. So then look at this. I mean, coño, bro. What? This is like Larry David.
he's the real fucking deal. He's the real deal. And like we follow each other on Instagram now, and he's like, I think he rapped on Fear the Walking Dead, but I'm not sure. I don't even know if I can say that. But he's like working on other projects, and he puts them on his Insta stories, and like he's doing like animatronic wolves and stuff, and it's the coolest thing I've ever seen. So he's the real deal.
Talk about this location. I mean, look at this place, yo. What's this?
Yeah,
Coño.
we this is like 10 minutes away from my home, which is insane. We were looking at filming locations. We were looking at different things, and we found this place is called Sherwood Studios. And essentially, this woman and her husband, they bought this 20th century home, and they furnished it with like weird looking things, and they buy a lot of things from like flea markets and estate sales, and they put it in the home, and they just like make it look really really crazy, and nobody lives in it. It's just for people to film things in.
Really?
Yeah, and so my wife and I drove over, and we like had like a tour of the place, and it's really creepy. It's really neat. There's like dolls, those like weird dolls everywhere.
Yeah, I was thinking it looks like something that belongs in The Conjuring.
Yeah, my thing for this was because the whole short takes place in this home. My thing for it was I didn't want white walls. I hate white walls.
Yeah,
everything about white walls freaks me out, and so I wanted like, brown, and I wanted like patterns, and like this home has everything.
What movie was that when the ghosts were coming out the wall? Is that why you were freaked out, bro?
Nightmare on Elm Street.
Oh, it's Nightmare.
Yeah. I know that because when I was a little kid, my mom she didn't really have a thing of like, oh, you can't watch this movie because it's scary. But I think someone had told her that Nightmare on Elm Street was the devil or something, and so she didn't let me watch it. But my friend had a CD of the soundtrack, and I took the soundtrack, and then I remember like putting it in my little CD player, like at night under the covers, and like putting it on the headphones, and then imagining what the movie would be like.
Oh man!
And then when I finally saw the movie, I was like, that's not so bad.
It's a cool franchise. It didn't scare me at all, but it's cool. So, guys, this is the budget breakdown, folks, so you can see what's popping there. And let's get into these rewards. Because again,
Yeah.
Out of the kindness of your heart, you go in and pledge $10 because you just believe in the project. You know what I mean? All right. But you can start as simply as $5. For backing, $15. You get a digital cut of the short. I emailed to you before it's festival. Oh, you're gonna be in a festival? Have you lined up any festivals yet?
We haven't lined up any festivals because they want to see it. So,
Okay.
but we have contacts and stuff that are like waiting for it, which is fun.
Yeah, man, I got a good one for you too. I think that would be fun. That actually travels comic convention.
Oh,
It'll
nice.
really. Oh yeah, well I gotta hook you up with him. All right,
Yeah.
so look at this right here. For $15, you got the digital, a signed collectible postcard. Oh, what do you mean here? Reward 3, a writer director Zoom Q&A. What's popping there? What's that?
It just I found a lot of people when I was reaching out. They had a lot of questions for me that weren't specifically like Lechuza questions, but they were more like Kickstarter questions, and they were more like how to do stuff. And since we've had a few successful Kickstarters, I'm gonna have that open for like Lechuza questions, but also like any kind of questions that people want to ask.
Yeah, man, look at that, folks. You get you get a project, and you get time with the homie. What? Come on, man. Can't get no better than that. You know what I mean? This is why I'm limiting my questions here, because if I was to do any more, then they ain't gonna pay for this. He's saving all the good stuff for those Q&As, all right? But you better for real jump on that. So for $1.50, a limited edition DVD with old school sounding special features. What are we talking about here? That sounds great.
Yeah, and there's only going to be one print run of those. We're only going to make them once. It's only going to be for the Kickstarter people because you can't really sell shorts on DVD. So we're just gonna give it to the Kickstarter people, and they're never going to be made again. So jump on.
Oh my God! I would love to see you make a VHS on this too. Since it's getting hot again, and make that even uber limited.
I would love to do that,
dude. Think about that. Nice VHS. Yeah, well, come on. I went over to a convention this past weekend, and my friend does movie reviews and stuff, and he loves House Party. Would you believe at this convention we found a sealed VHS copy of House Party for only $15?
Holy wow!
That's sealed, bro. Factory sealed with the label, the white label. You know that if you break the box, you know what I mean. Intact, bro. Amazing find. And I found some good stuff on myself. All right, so $300. One of us includes a Zoom Q&A with some of the cast and crew. Invited to the cast and crew virtual screening. Ooh, a virtual screening. Hey, man, what's popping here? We'll talk about this package. This sounds really fun.
Yeah, so we're gonna have a cast and crew virtual cast and crew Q&A. So whoever can show up in the cast and crew, I think that's like really fun. And we have a virtual screening planned. So whenever the final cut is done, we get people that can come. It's a virtual screening because a lot of people don't live in the same area. If we can put together a physical screening, then I'd like to do that, but we can't like sort of confirm that in a reward. But we'll see.
Yeah.
But if we end up doing it, those people from the reward will get invitation for it. So we'll see.
And talk about this one too, where somebody's audio, or you could be in the film, the voice.
Sure. Yeah, no, I know a lot of people really, really like the idea of being cast by a reward, but most of our cast is like our cast is done, so we didn't really have those slots available. But what we did have is there's certain parts of the movie where there's like it could either be read as voices from ancestors or voices from like sound effects and stuff, and so we really wanted to be able to give people that chance, and so that's why we put together this voiceover reward. So you could be in the film even though the film's already mostly cast.
Oh snap! Now for you folks that have an IMDb Pro account, check this out. I'm digging. Gets that associate producer credit. So what? How so? I mean, okay, the 2 racks, nice, and you get everything before that too, right? All the other rewards.
Yeah.
Dope. Look at this. And for 10 racks, you're executive producer, company credit, all that good stuff. And here's the timeline, folks. So break down that timeline verbally for us, my brother.
Nice. Oh, there's one more special. What is it? There's a special reward that was missed, and I really like it because we just added it a while ago, like a
Which
day
one?
ago. It's there down.
Oh,
It's
this
like
one,
one
your
per day.
art.
That one. So it's your art in the film, which is fun. So so you can this is like we had a lot of artists that were like wondering about this too. So you can get your pre-approved art on the set of the film, and so you can have it as like set dressing and stuff if you want to see your art in the film. That's a really cool thing that I've seen before, and I thought it was nice. So we added it yesterday. So we had like 10 days left. So at the 10-day mark, we added this, and so yeah, we'll see what happens.
People always do point that out. Oh, see what was in the background? Yeah, so actually, it's a pretty cool idea. I'm digging it. Where you come up with that one? That is cool. It's a good one.
I can't take credit for that. I saw it on whose Kickstarter was it? I saw it in another Kickstarter for another film, and they were like, yeah. Then they were like, oh, here's put your artwork on my walls or something, and I was like, that's so cool.
Excellent. So talk about the timeline before we go. So but
sure. So let's see. I'm just gonna so I can see it bigger. I guess my eyesight isn't what it used to be. So January to March. So we started in January. Is pre-production. So casting, assembling crew, fundraising, rehearsals, and everything else we need to prepare for the shoot. We've already done most of it, so that's cool. April 2023 is our production. So we have 2 days over at our one location. We have some days picked out, so we're gonna coordinate and see if we can see which ones we can do. From April to May is post-production, so it's editing, sound mixing, scoring, and color grading, and we already have people for all those things. For late May is the final cut of the film, so the film will be ready for festival submissions. From June to the rest of the year is like film festivals, maybe a public release, and then we're going to use it to pitch. So you can by that, like what I mean is you can't really get people to read a script because that's a very, very big ask for a producer, but you can get them to watch a film. You can get them to watch like a 10 minutes film. So that's what we're gonna do.
Excellent. So folks, there you go, folks. I've been showing this link. So if you want to get in on the action and support an independent film creator right here to support some horror, some new stuff at that, because we need that. I'm tired of goddamn reboots. About time somebody doing something new. Support LechuzaFilm.com. All right. Again, he is so close to fulfilling the project. I mean, folks, he's a little guy. $580 away. Let's make it happen, baby. Let's make it happen. Support independent film creation today. All right. So before we go, since you said you had some awesome, successful Kickstarters and whatnot, and you're about to make it on this one. You are going to make it. Manifestation is real, so it will be funded. So talk about being successful doing these Kickstarters. What are some of the secrets you've learned that you could relate to others?
Do a lot of planning beforehand. I think like know what your game plan is going in. But what I mean by that is understand what community you're dealing with and how to approach the different parts of the community. I've learned is that all communities are different, and so I at the start of this, I approached the community the same way I approached the comic community, and it was failing. It wasn't doing very well because the comic community, I love the comic community, and they're way more likely to support each other while they're working. So like if you message somebody in the comic community and they're also in a Kickstarter, they'll be like, hey, let's trade pledges to get the algorithm up. Hey, I'll put you in my update. Hey, I'll put me in your update. Or hey, like let's like collaborate on something. But for film, you really have to go into the community and less the filmmakers. Filmmakers, what I've seen, aren't game to support other filmmakers, or maybe it's just the experiences I've had. But that's all I can kind of talk about. But the community support each other. So like I've gotten a lot of support from the horror community, who want to see something cool, and this is their way of doing it. It's essentially a pre-order on media. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's sort of what they treat it as, and so they want to see this thing happen, and they try to make it happen. So for comics, I focused on comic creators. For film, I focused on the people consuming it. And so you have to sort of figure out what your niche is, and figure out like how to approach them, and figure out if it works. And sort of that can only be made through trial and error, but be willing to switch up your tactics if something isn't working.
You heard that, folks? Take that. That's good advice. And homies have successful ones, and they're about to have another one. All right? But 9 days to go. Just make it rain on this dope project. The links are below. I'm going to show it one more time. Very simple. LechuzaFilm.com. You go there, it takes you straight. And then you just pull out your wallet, put in your credit card, you know what I mean? And get it done. Support them tiers. Be part of this amazing project, man. Be part of the future of horror. You know we need this new stuff, this good stuff. I can't wait. I'm excited, especially seeing some Latino person right here kicking some butt doing it. Wepa! Let's make it happen, baby. All right? So with that, please, make sure I'm going to add the link later on and follow Mickey everywhere. All right? But again, the most important thing today is for you guys, again, support this Kickstarter. All right? We want to see the new horror, so please make it happen. Thank you, everybody, for listening, for tuning in, for watching. Please like and subscribe. Turn on the notifications for Comic Crusaders World on YouTube. And with that, make sure to also support my extended family over undercovercapes.com. Thank you, everyone. Hasta la próxima, mi gente. Much love. Thank you for listening to the Comic Crusaders Podcast. If you like the content, please subscribe and turn on notifications. Also, please visit comiccrusaders.shop and our extended podcast family over at undercovercapes.com. And also, make sure to download the Comic Crusaders app on the Google Play Store today.